Okay, ladies and gentlemen of Precalculus, we started out on this very last thing we did Friday and expand the binomial using a calculator to find the binomial coefficients. So in a binomial expansion, we did talk about last week that if you do a binomial expansion, it would follow this pattern, 1, 2, 1. Remember this 1, 3, 3, 1?
Yep.
Okay, we did that. And then we could continue with that 1, 4, 6, 4, 1, and so forth. I think that was 1, 4, 6, 4. I think that was problem 1, wasn't it? So this is called the fourth row, and they are numbered here. This is the third row, this is the second, this is the first, and this is what's called the 0th row, the first one right here. And so to find the sixth one, we could expand, but now we're being asked to use our calculator. And so in our calculator, what we do is we use the NCR feature. NCR means N choose R. So NCR means N choose R. That's how you'd verbalize it.
How do you get that?
And I'm going to show you that. What we're going to do for this one here is, in your calculator, you go to open your calculator and you put N first, which is 6. And then you go to C, and the choose is you go to problem, and then 3, and then we want to have the expansion 0 through 6. So we're going to go to second and enter the parentheses bracket. So we put 0, comma, 1, comma, 2, comma, 3, comma, 4, comma, 5, comma, 6, and then you close with your bracket like this. Now, the number of terms, do you notice, is always going to be one more than the n. You see that?
Yeah.
Because this is the 0th, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are going to be 7 terms total in our expansion, and then we press enter, and we get what the coefficients of expansion are for each of these 7 terms. 1, 6, 15, 20. So I'm going to note here 1, 6, 15, 20, and then we're going to have 15, 6, 1. And also the second term the second coefficient is going to coincide with the number of the expansion. So for this problem, what we would have is we could write out our answer as 1 a to the 6th plus 6 a to the 5th b plus, what's the next number? 15 a to the 4th b squared plus 20 a to the 3rd b to the 3rd plus, and I'm just going to write down here, it's going to be 15 a squared b to the 4th plus 6 a b to the 5th plus b to the 6th. And so that's going to be our answer. Is that pretty easy to do?
How do you know to include 0?
Pardon me?
How do you know to include 0?
To include 0? Where? When I did the calculator?
Stupid question, I was going, sorry.
When I did the calculator thing?
No,
Okay, so you answered your own question is what you're saying. Okay, good. But any other questions for that? If you have a question, that's fine. Questions?
So how do you do the NCR thing?
Okay, I'm going to show you on problem 3 here. Okay, problem 3. On problem 3, what we have is we're going to have 7. We're going to have 7c, and we're going to have all these numbers here, 0, comma 1, comma 2, and so on, up to comma 7, right? So how do you do that? go to your calculator, and it says you go to 7, and then you go to math, problem 3, and here's where you put in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 0, and I'm going to press this, 0, comma, 1, comma, 2, comma, 3, comma, 4, comma, 5. And I know because of symmetry what all the terms are going to be, so I'm just going to cut it off here because I know I'll have enough here. 1, 7, 31, 35, right?
How do you, what?
You
No,
go
1, 7, 1, 7, 21, 35, 35. I got 21 instead of 35. 21 instead of 31. Yeah.
Like here, yeah. And then you'll have 35, 21, 7, 1. And so you can just write down your answer. So we have x to the 7th power plus 7, x to the 6th, y, plus, what's the next one? 21, x to the 5th, y squared, plus 35, x to the 4th, y cubed, plus 35, x to the 3rd, y to the 4th, plus 21, x squared, y to the 5th, we're almost there, plus 7, x, y to the 6th, plus y to the 7th. And so that's your total binomial expansion.
So basically you just take, so you get the 7, the x to the 7th, and you just subtract 1 from the x and give it to the y.
Right, and so what Emma's explaining right here is, so she said basically you take x to the 7th and then the powers of x will descend. Is that what you're saying, Emma?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Emma makes a good observation on that. You see that? So descending powers of x, at the same time you have descending powers of x, you have what?
Ascending powers of y.
Ascending powers of y, exactly, here. Thank
It
you.
says error.
Exactly, that's a good question. That's a good answer here. Okay. And then to the 10th, that's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And you'll just get a real long-winded thing you could probably write out pretty quickly, right? How many total terms are you going to have on problem 4?
11.
You'll have 11.
11.
Yeah, because the 0th term.
Okay.
And then when you get to 5 through 8, it says use Pascal's triangle. You can use your calculator for 5 through 8. Don't worry about using Pascal's triangle. I mean, you could use it if you wanted to, right?
Yeah.
You know how to do that, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
Yeah, look at my shirt. I wore my shirt today. What's that? Tell you the answer for what? For which one? Show you here. Put on the mask. By the way, you girls, you're not 6 feet apart. You should have your mask on.
We're trying to get the wrong.
Here, let me show you.
I'm assuming not that bad.
Okay, so I'm going to figure this out.
Tell it to all the people that die.
Okay, tell me what, 10?
That's part 4, right?
I go to math. Problem. Put 3. And then we go put in, we go to get a bracket. 0, 1, 2, 3,
I guess after you press enter, you leave it.
Where that's,
Anyway,
up there, got it.
then pulls the bracket.
Put dinner in there.
Right here, and you press this, and you get them all.
I still can't do it.
1, 10, 45,
Okay, got it.
Just what Emma said, you just do this descending. You start with x to the 10, then y to the 10, x to the 10, x to the 9th, y, x to the 8th, y squared, x to the 7th, y cubed, x to the 6th, y to the 4th, x to the 5th, y to the 5th, x to the 4th, y to the 6th. And the thing about it is one thing that helps me keep straight on this is your exponents always have to add up to 10. Did you notice that?
I don't know if I know that, right.
So basically, you can fill in and just put them there. You should have. So your answer should look like,
Really long.
it should be really, exactly, yeah. So you get x to the 10th plus, next one's going to be 10, x to the 9th, y, and then the next one's here, you can just fill in the blank, then it'll be x to the 8th, y squared, plus blank, x to the 7th, y cubed, plus blank, x to the 6th, y to the 4th, plus blank, x to the 5th, y to the 5th, plus blank, x to the 4th, y. You see how this is working, Carmen? Blank, x cubed, y to the 7th, plus blank, x squared, y to the 8th, plus blank, x, y to the 9th, plus blank, we know that's 1, y to the 10th. And this is going to be 10 over here, and then all these other numbers. Fill them all in. And that's your answer. Did you get that? Carmen, you know how to do that in the calculator now? Okay. Girls, come on. You gotta be more. So what did you get for this one here? 45? 120? 252, and this one's 210 too, right?
Yes.
And this 45. And so that's your answer, right? And you should be able to do 5 through 8 just using your calculator same way. You don't have to use Pascal's triangle, right? Sixth. Put a few of these to hand out. So you didn't get the half-life one, Emma? You didn't get.
It's about a 0 for it.
You got a 0 for it?
Yeah.
Do you know how to do that half-life one?
I can watch the video.
You watch the video, yeah, let me show it to you. See if we can get you one. What's that? Not the half-life one, that's like a decimal. Looking for my half-life one, I don't see it. I have to make that for you. I don't know what happened to it. Okay. So is everybody okay, 5 through 8? You did 5 through 8?
I'm not finished eight.
No.
I'm on number 6.
You're on number 6, okay.
Let me scroll farther.
How do you scroll farther?
Yeah.
The arrow.
You arrow to the right. That's right, you arrow to the right, don't you? Yeah. good one. Fall off, yeah. One thing that's happened today is Mr. Greiger's back. What's Mr. Greiger been doing? Kind of auditing the classes. Oops. All right. And if I was using Pascal's triangle, I would use this thing right here. So for this one, I'd have x to the, for number 6, I'd have x to the 5th plus 5, x to the 4th y plus 10, x to the 3rd y squared plus 10, x squared y to the 3rd plus 5x y to the 4th plus y to the 5th. So that's what number 6 should look like, right? Yeah. So, and really with 7 and 8, they're just bigger powers of expansion. Somebody got cramps in their hand by writing already? Well, you have a little bit. Do you think I ever get cramps in my hand?
Yeah.
When do you think I get cramps in my hand?
8th
It could be 8th period, that's a good guess, sometimes. But also when I'm making videos. I'll get the pen and I'll write, and I'll go like this. And then I'll be okay. Okay. I want to show you how to do 9 through 12. Nine through 12 is really an articulation of what we've already been doing. This one here, this 9 up here and 2, this one can be written in the NCR form, which means N choose R, as 9 choose 2. Okay? And there's something on your ACP formula chart, which is right here. You remember this chart you have?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, this is your binomial theorem equation right here, which is n factorial over quantity n minus r factorial times r factorial. So in this case, it's going to be n factorial and over quantity n minus r factorial. Do you know what this exclamation point means?
Factorial.
And that means what?
Factorial.
Well, 2 factorial is equal to 2 times 1. Okay, 3 factorial is equal to
3 times 1.
3 times 2 times 1. Okay, and so on.
In fact, I don't know.
So that's what those
So
are.
like 5 factorial would be 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1.
Yeah, so what Hannah just said about 5 factorial, yes. 5 factorial is
How do you
5.
put that into the calculator?
Well, that's what I'm going to show you here. That's a good question. So in the calculator, what you would do for this problem right here is you would write this as, this one's going to be 9 factorial over 9 minus 2 factorial times 2 factorial. In your calculator, this is where you find it. I'm going to go get my fraction like this. I'm going to put 9, and for factorial, I go to math, problem, and I go to 4. You see that exclamation point? And down here, I'm going to go 9 minus 2 factorial, which is math 4, and times 2 factorial. And so we go here one last time to factorial, and we press, and we get that for an answer.
You do the same thing if you do NCR.
Yeah, and if you just go to NCR, now what NCR is NCR is like a built-in application of this. So if I just go to 9, and I go to math, here to problems, I go to 3, and I can put 2 right here, and get this instead. Which one would you rather do? The second one, right? But what this is it's sort of like, this is sort of like the back office of what happens to create this. And so the calculator was programmed that when you put these in here, it takes the calculator to do this, to work it out for your calculating convenience, right? So that's what they do for that. And so accordingly, you can do all these other ones similarly and get these really quickly, right? And you can, like Emma said, you can just write this as 15C11 and end up getting the same thing, right? So you have that. Now, what we're going to do with the rest of class is get into exercises where we're going to look at individual terms. I'm going to hand this out. Kids, you know how to do that, right?
What?
You know how to do all these, right?
It's like a loop in here.
Does your calculator do all those things?
It would give me the syntax error for the, what you call it?
What time is it?
Yeah, you turn it in here. Appreciate that. Good work. Good work today.
Is 11 and 12 the same?
You get the same answer?
Yeah.
Yeah, you will. And part of it is the reason you have the same answer, part of it is really for instructional purposes. And I'll explain what it is. Like for number 11, you get the same answer as number 12, right? And the reason is the 0th term will give you the same thing as the 166th term. So you'll get the same answer for 12 and for 11, and that answer is 1. Okay? And the reason it is because in the case of number 12, you're going to have 166 factorial over 166 factorial times 0 factorial, and 0 factorial is defined as 1. So this cancels out here, and you're just left with 1. And I think that's kind of odd that 0 factorial is defined as 1. Now, what I did today was I remembered to wear my Pascal's triangle t-shirt, which has on the back a specific problem like the ones we're doing here by looking at the terms. So you see on the back of my shirt, I have, if you have x minus 2y to the 9th power, the question is, what is the fourth term of expansion? You see that? It's on my back. And so basically what we're learning to do now is instead of expanding out the whole expression, you're just focusing in, zeroing in on one of the terms. And so you're not going to have to do what? Write nearly as much, because you're just going to focus. Yeah, they're easy, but also they challenge they're easy, but you have to understand what's going on, don't you? So they're easy, but you have to be thinking and work with purpose through here. Now, in the case of this one right here, I'll do my t-shirt one later, but we know the x to the 11th term is going to be, well, the first term is going to be some number, in fact, it's going to be 1, x to the 14th, right? And the second term is going to be 14, x to the 13th y, and then the next term is going to be some number we don't know yet, but x to the 12th y squared, and then the next one, which is the one we really want, is some number x to the 11th y cubed. And so how do we find what this number is right here? How do you find it?
I went to the calculator and just looked at the fourth one.
Okay, now what you have to be careful about, because in NCR, this is the 0th term, this is the first, this is the second,
Third.
and this is the third here. So you're going to have to use the number 3. So you have to use 14C3 to get this.
Which is 364.
364? Yeah, so this is 364. And so 364 goes here, meaning that our answer to this question is 364 x to the 11th y cubed. You see that? Does it help to know that without having to write out the whole thing? Now, one thing coincidentally that happens, that when you choose that R, it coincidentally or purposefully happens to be the same power of the Y. So that's how you get, if you have this thing right here, so it's going to be 14, choose 3. So the power of Y is what you can use to make your expansion life easier. Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense? Kaylee, just go on. Do you see what's going on, Kaylee? Yeah, okay. All right. And then this one, this is going to be the same thing. It's going to be n 13. Well, it's going to be 13 choose 8, and that's going to give you your coefficient of expansion.
When you think 7?
8.
The what?
1,287.
So 1,287,
Yes.
x to the 5th, y to the 8th. So that'll be your answer there. Okay? Does that halfway make sense? Does that
Yes.
3/4 weight make sense?
It 100% makes sense.
100% makes sense? Okay, good. I'll go with this. All right, good. Questions on that one? Okay, let's go on here. Now here we're talking about, instead of having just a plus y, we're having a number there instead. Do you have an idea of how to do that one? Okay, let me show you. We know if we have x to the 4th it's going to be y to what power? To the 8th, right? So what this is going to end up being, our answer is going to be, if we choose 12, choose 8, would give us our number of coefficient expansion. And
495.
what is it going to be?
495.
495? 495. And so we know when we write this out, the x to the 4th term, we're going to have 495, and we're going to have, now we got to be careful here, we're going to have x to the 4th, but we're going to have this negative 2 to the 8th. Do you see how this is taking the place of the y? And so for this one, our answer is going to be negative 2 to the 8th power times 495 x to the 4th. And so what's negative 2 to the 8th power times 495?
Negative 126,700.
It's
Positive.
126,720.
720.
Why is it going to be positive?
Because it's in parentheses, and it doesn't equal 1 next.
Yeah, whenever you go ahead and take the power to an even number, that's going to positivize whatever this number is. Okay? So that's why it's going to be. And if you have a negative number to the power of an odd power, then you're going to have a negative coefficient of expansion. So sort of like Will was mentioning last time, the alternating between odd and even, negative and positive, right? Negative and positive. Is that what you said, Will? Who remembers something for Friday? Anybody remember? Will looks like he remembers something from Friday. Okay, that's good. You even slept at least twice since then. 3 times. Okay?
How'd you get that big one? You did that.
Yeah, what it is, this number here is negative 2 to the 8th power times 495. That's how you get that. Okay? And that's that. And the problem I have on the back of my shirt is this one here, x minus 2y to the 9th, and what is the 4th term? Well, the 4th term you'd find by taking, it's going to be, in the NCR, it's going to be 9, choose, the 4th term is going to be 3. So 9, choose 3, that's what's going to happen. So we go to calculator, and we go to 9, math, problem, choose, oops, that's the wrong one. 9, I did that in 5th period class too. Math, oops, and then 3, and choose 3, here we go. So we get 84.
So that's for the one on the shirt.
Yeah, so on my shirt. So equals 84. So our answer is going to be, for this one, it's going to be 84. We're going to have x to the 4th, y to the 5th, times negative 2 to the power of 5. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so what's negative 2 to the power of 5 times 84?
Oh, excuse me, Mr. G, where are you?
Negative
On the
2,600.
board.
The shirt,
Oh, your shirt, okay, because I was working this problem, the 4th one, this
2,684?
88.
688? That'll be x to the 4th, y to the 5th. So that's going to be your answer. It should be the one on the back of my shirt, I think.
Wait, why'd you put y to the 5th?
Because it equals 9.
Because you have to have y to the 5th. Because if you have x to the 4th, you're going to have y to the 5th.
Well, I thought your y to the 5th was a negative 2.
Well, no, because remember, it's negative 2y, so you got to take this whole thing to the fifth. And so what that is, that's going to be negative 2 to the fifth times y to the fifth. And so you got to combine this number with this here to get negative 2,688. But you keep the y to the fifth. All right. Now next, the x, we're about out of time. So we might work a problem or two on this tomorrow, but we have to get into sequences and series. Okay, thank you class, it was a really good class today. Appreciate you staying focused.